So I think there's really 4 things that I would say make the foundation of a good kind of legal base when you're starting a business. The first is you want to pick an entity structure. So that could be a corporation, and the one that's right for you really is dependent on your situation. Most of the time an LLC will be just fine, and the reason why it's so important is that you want to have some kind of separation between yourself, the person, and the business that you are running. The business is going to be entering into contracts with vendors, manufacturers, maybe even taking on debt, and so you want to have that separation from your personal assets and the business assets and how they're operating. Also, make sure that you do have a separate business bank account, because that's part of actually keeping everything separate and keeping up that LLC structure. The next thing is IP, intellectual property. Everybody in this room, if you have a brand, you have a trademark, I mean, whether you know it or not. And actually, as Jamie mentioned, you really want to get that straight in the beginning, because really the saddest thing is having someone that's operating a business for 3 to 5 years. They've been successful, maybe they have a bunch of inventory, they've spent money on marketing, and then they come to me and say, now I want to trademark my business name. And sometimes I do a search and say, it's not available. You have to rebrand, and that is just the worst thing to tell a founder. So the earlier you can get that done, the better. Also know that owning the trademark to your name, it has value, right? So it gives value to your company. Just having an LLC name with the brand name is not brand ownership. So you want to have that trademark. The next thing I would say is important is contracts, right? So if it's not in writing, it doesn't exist, we want to make sure that we're working with our vendors and we have everything set in writing, all of our obligations. We also want to make sure that there's mechanisms in there if, for example, you don't get paid for something. We want to have a hook in a contract so that we can use that. Also, the last thing I would say is compliance. I work a lot with beauty brands, and of course we have that FDA regulations that we have to keep abreast of, but also with fashion, you have labeling requirements, also advertising, FTC regulations. So we want to make sure that you're aware of that and you are following that. So those 4 things I would say are basic.